خير إن شاء الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على الأتمان الأكملان على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi of knowledge, the importance of seeking it, learning, teaching it, and spreading it, the obligation and the necessity of doing so as well, are well known to all of you. And if it wasn't well known, you wouldn't have come here, nor would you have sacrificed your time, your wealth, your energy, and your efforts. So for the lack of time, we're not going to reiterate those points which are already well known to you. And many of those points were explained last night and before last night. So with that being said, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, let's try our best to maximize the time that we have regarding this intensive workshop. The book is well known, Hilyat Talib al-Ilm of Sheikh Bakr ibn Abdullah Abu Zayd rahimahullah ta'ala wa radiya anhu. And I have chosen and selected to read the Mukhtasar, the summarized version, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So the brothers who have the actual copy or the PDF or the ebook, download it on their tablets or their phones or print it out, it's not going to hurt you to have the original one while we read from the Mukhtasar. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, as the workshop is going on, when there's a break or an intermission, you can get the link, you can download the Mukhtasar. It's easy, you can Google it and you'll get the PDF depending on how fast you're in. The one who summarized the book and the reason and the wisdom why he summarized the book, all right, which is already well known to students of knowledge, to people of ilm, the benefit of summarizing and the virtue of summarizing. And obviously I don't have to tell you, you're all seekers of ilm. We all know that there are many great works, monumental works that are memorized and studied to this day, which are nothing more than mukhtasarat. It's a tahdib. Some of the best books that you read and you study are nothing more than summarized books. Okay? This is something which is well known. Khairan, inshaAllah. With that being said, the mukhtasar, his name is Dr. Muhammad ibn Fahd. He says here, Alhamdulillahi wahdah, wassalatu wassalamu ala khayri khalqih, نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أما بعد فلا شك أن طلب العلم له آداب كثيرة والتزام الطالب بها يقوم سلوكه سواء مع شيخ أقرانه ويختصر له الطريق ويرشده إلى التحصيل والتفوق. The doctor, he starts off by praising Allah and the traditional Orthodox man, sending prayers upon the Messenger of Allah, his family and his companions. He says to proceed. Listen carefully to this very important introduction, this golden introduction. He says, فَلَا شَكَّ. He says, there is no doubt, not two intellectuals, they don't differ on this point, that there are many manners of the seeker of knowledge. And there's an important etiquette of the seeker of knowledge. And for the student or the seeker of knowledge to stick to them, and to adhere to them, to learn them, to know them. And most importantly, brothers and sisters, he says iltizam, sticking to that etiquette, and not just learning it or hearing it or sitting in a lecture or a dawrah or getting ijazah. He says iltizam, sticking to that etiquette. He says it will do the following things for the student of knowledge. Number one, yuqawwimu sulukahu. It will straighten his behavior. And if you have crooked behavior, then you're already shooting yourself in the foot. You're already handing the people an excuse not to listen and not to learn and not to take your advice and your dawah, which is something which is already against you, because the nafs is originally inclined towards not doing that which is right with regards to the stringent discipline of ilm and of deen, let alone the halal and the haram. Let alone the halal and the haram. People are looking for an excuse. So the straighter your behavior, the more thorough and the more impeccable your manners are, that's one less reason that people have not to listen to you, as we mentioned last night. He says number two, which says regardless whether it is the character or the etiquette of behavior with your teacher, your classmates, your friends, your peers, you need to have straight behavior. Number two, وَيَخْتَصِرُ لَهُ الطَّرِيقِ. and it shortens the road for you. You need a shortcut. Why take the long way? If you can do it in 5 years, why do it in 10 years? If you can do it in 1 year, why waste 3 years? Life is short. Energy is limited. You understand this? This is something which is well known to the people of knowledge, taking shortcuts. The next benefit that you get from learning these adab and sticking to these adab, he says, وَيُرْشِدُهُ إِلَى التَّحْصِيلِ, and it points you in the direction to soak up knowledge, to amass knowledge, to have an abundance of it, وَالتَّفَوُّقِ, and to succeed, and to exceed, to excel, to be a notch above and beyond. A notch above and beyond. So we benefit from the first sentence, or the first paragraph of the book, is that if you're here just to be average or basic, then you shouldn't necessarily be sitting in this circle. You should have the aspirations and the goal and the intention to do more and to go higher and to go further. The summarizer, he then says, للأدب كحاجة النفس للهوى وبالأدب يفهم العلم وبقدر إجلال الطالب لشيخه ينتفع بما يفيد من علمه. He says, in the need of the seeker of knowledge to proper behavior and good character is like a person needs oxygen. What happens if you don't get oxygen? You die, you suffocate, you drown. Everyone needs to breathe. And that is the relationship of the student of knowledge with the proper conduct and proper behavior. He then says, and with the proper etiquette, you can properly understand knowledge. And according to how much respect you show to your teacher, and how much you exalt and magnify your teacher, that will determine how much knowledge you get from your teacher. And we all know the students of Abdullah ibn Abbas, and the madrasa of Abdullah ibn Abbas, his disciples. He had many of them, and they were masters in all of the fields of sciences. You get a page, except that you're going to find at least one student of Ibn Abbas. You're not going to read a page in Sahih Bukhari, except that you're going to read at least one of the students of Ibn Abbas. You're not going to read a page in the book of fiqh, except that you're going to find one of the pupils of Abdullah ibn Abbas. However, there was one student that he had, a person who would sit with him and learn with him, who was a very virtuous man, a knowledgeable man, a pious man, and debate with Ibn Abbas, as if he would give him a hard time. Not of disrespect, but he just would give him a hard time. And he didn't excel like Sa'id ibn Jubair. He didn't excel like the other Tullab and the Talamid of Ibn Abbas. And this is why they say in a famous cliche, "Man sahiba ahla al-ilmi naqidan," to the respect to your classmates and your people, the do's and the don'ts as a secret of knowledge. It is وقد حث الشرع المطهر على تعلم الأخلاق ومحاسن الآداب وبين أنها سمة أهل الإسلام وعلم لا يصل الحل بأدابه على المتخلي عنه. ولذا اعتنى العلماء بها تصنيفا وتأليفا وكانوا يلقون طلابهم في حلق العلم تلك الآداب فتواصلت جهودهم جيل. The importance of bad character, the flaws with regards to how you behave and how you conduct yourself. And this is why the ulama of Islam in the past, in the present, and the modern era, they write these books and they give these lectures and they do these talks because of its important status. So we understand so far that seeking knowledge is nothing special or exotic. Being a Muslim is to have character. The student, nor can you be a liar. Nor is the Muslim to be a liar, nor being accused of being a liar. The student of knowledge is to be far from scandal and controversy, and the same applies to the Muslim. The student of knowledge cannot be greedy and have an insatiable desire for worldly things, nor should an everyday Muslim. So the student of knowledge, the student of hadith, is nothing more than a good Muslim. But he is to be elite. He is to be the best of the best. He is to go higher and stronger and have a greater, finely tuned way of behaving. But it's worse and it's even more in the blessed month of Ramadan. Islam, they've put forth a great deal of effort teaching this, explaining this, and expounding upon this for the people to learn and for it to be passed down. And the barakah of sitting with the people of knowledge and taking their adab. ولما كنت جالسا مع أخي الشيخ الدكتور إبراهيم بن فهد الودعان وفقه الله وقد يستمع لشريط مسجل للشيخ العلامة محمد بن صالح العثيمين طالب العلم الشيخ بكر بن عبد الله أبو زيد فإذا بأخي يذكر أن شرح هذا الكتاب فيه طول وما ذلك إلا لطول أصل الكتاب ويتمنى أن يختصر ليكون صغير الحجم وليستفيد منه المبتدئ ولا يستغني عنه العالم المنتهي. He says here, and I would sit with my brother, Sheikh Dr. Ibrahim al-Wad'an, and he would listen to Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen's explanation of the book. It's well known that Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen has explained the book Hilyat Talib al-Ilm. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen explained the book of Sheikh Bakr rahimahullah. And he would listen to the tapes and he would benefit from the tapes and he would praise the tapes, but he said that the explanation is very long. It's lengthy. It's a bit too long. And he says, and that's only because the original book in itself is very long. He says, and he had wished and he wanted to summarize the book so the beginner could take more from it. And so it could be a good means of reminding the expert person, the one, the master, the alim al-muntahi, who's learned and studied, and he can breeze through it and run through it and get more benefit. Everyone understand this? And there are many, many books like this in al-Islam in every field. Tafsir, hadith, fiqh, usul, lugha, nahu, sarf. There's a bigger work, then it's made smaller, then it's made smaller, then it is refined. وهكذا. They continue to sift and refine the process. Now, many books that you read and study are nothing more than summarized works. So he's talking about why he wrote this book and how the book was summarized. And this is not aib. It's not a bad thing. It's not disrespecting the author or disrespecting the book to say that it's long. Everyone understand this? People, they differ in their appetite for knowledge. And they differ in the amounts of which they can eat and drink. There are those who like length and have no problem sitting for hours reading one book. And then there are those who may have a short attention span. There are those who need things to be simplified and to be made easy. Everyone understand this? And there are certain things which may be repetitive, things that may be reiterated, which they can be taken out. Everyone understand this? So that is why we chose this summarized version of the book. The doctor, he then says, فجالت الفكرة في خاطري لاختصار هذا الكتاب ليسهل فهمه ويحيط الطالب بموضوعاته الرئيسية فتستقر في ذاكرته ويفهمه منذ بداية طلبه إلى أن تتوسع مداركه وتنمو مقدرته على استيعاب ويقرب على طالبه تناوله وحفظه. He says, so therefore, when he mentioned that idea, I took on the task. And this shows you the benefit of sitting with righteous and positive people. You think of something, but Allah may put it in my heart. You give an idea, and Allah allows me to do it. That's how Sahih Bukhari was written. Imam Bukhari, he only wrote his book. One of the reasons why he wrote his book was because of the advice of his teachers, Haqib and Rahaway. He saw the talent of Imam al-Bukhari, and he says, why don't you put together a book of authentic narrations? And we know that there are other reasons why Imam al-Bukhari wrote his book, which are what? Al-Amin. What are the other two reasons why Bukhari wrote his book? Quickly. To defend the sunnah. That's general. A dream. What did he see in the dream? Fly. He would defend the fly. Push the fly away from the Prophet's face. Defend the Prophet. And the interpreter said what? What did the interpreter say? The dream has to have an interpretation. You're going to protect the sunnah from lies. That's well known. Not as well as the reason. Which is well known. Imam al-Bukhari had another dream, which was what? Anybody know? We raised the right hand, never the left hand. He was walking behind the Prophet in the desert. And he saw what? He put his foot in the Prophet's footsteps. Step by step, step by step, step by step. And the interpreter said what? And he wrote his book. You can't just say, I just want to go overseas and study. I just want to learn Arabic and translate the book. Lie. Everyone understand this? And there were many scholars who came before Bukhari that were bigger and better, greater than him, before him. And despite that, he never sufficed himself, right? He never what? He never sufficed himself. And he wrote his book, and look at his book today. Everyone understand this? The importance of having ulu al-himmah, having high aspirations as a student of knowledge. And you must dream. And not just dream at nighttime, but you have to dream in the daytime. You have to want to be something. Khayran inshallah. He then says, so therefore I put together the summarized version of the book. And this is for the student of knowledge to master the book, to have an easier and simpler understanding of the book, and to have a thorough grasp of the main points of the book, for it to be on his mind, etc. فدعاني ما رأيت إلى كتابة هذا المختصر مذكرا إلى آخر كلامه رحمه الله تعالى. طيب. الفصل الأول. Anyone have the مختصر here? طيب. You volunteer to read for us? No volunteer to read? تفضل. بسم الله. أصل الأصول جزاكم الله خيرا. We'll pause for a second. He says here الفصل الأول آداب الطالب في نفسه. The manners, the behavior, and the etiquette with yourself. Now this may be a bit strange, even though the book has been translated in English for years, and many lectures have been given on the book. But notice how the author did not start off with the etiquette with your teacher, or with your scholar or the scholars. You understand this? But the very first step is the etiquette with oneself. If you're not right with yourself, how can you be right with someone else? Everyone understand this? If you're not right with yourself, how can you be right with someone else? So this is the aslul usul. And the same applies to marriage, buying and selling, doing business, employing someone, being an employee of someone. If you're not right with yourself, you can't be a good husband. You can't be a good father. You can't be a good wife. You have to be good with your own nafs first and foremost. Everyone understand this? Very important. He says first and foremost is أصل الأصول في هذه الحلية. The most important with this book of mine, he says, and anything that you want to do is to know that it is ibadah. It's ibadah. Seeking knowledge isn't a hobby. Seeking knowledge isn't a sport. It's not a cool thing to do. It's not a means to be accepted. It's not a means to find a wife or a husband or to make money. It's not a club that you should go in and go out of, as many of us think or say with our behavior. Seeking knowledge is something which is holy. It's something which is spiritual from beginning to end. The only reason why we seek this ilm and busy ourselves and tire ourselves and exert ourselves, the only reason why Imam al-Bukhari traveled and Imam Ahmed traveled and this one traveled was because it's ibadah. Everyone understand this? And it's something that we all know, but we need to be reminded. And oftentimes our behavior proves otherwise. Our behavior shows us that we really don't understand this and we really don't believe this. And Allah knows best. Moving forward, and it cannot be done in any way or in any manner. And the first of those conditions, he says, ikhlasun niyya subhanahu lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. لقوله تعالى وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين. وفي الحديث أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إنما الأعمال بالنيات. فإن فقد العلم إخلاص النية انتقل من أفضل الطاعات المخالفات ولا شيء يحطم العلم مثل الرياء والتسميع. Allah Azza wa Jal, he says, pertaining to the first condition of ibadah, is that it has to be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is a manifestation when knowledge is for Allah. It's proven. And from the proofs that you're seeking knowledge for Allah is that you seek the knowledge which is convenient and the knowledge which isn't convenient. The knowledge which is sweet and easy and the knowledge which is bitter and sour. Because it doesn't matter. It's all ibadah. You understand this? You're going to get rewarded no matter what. But the knowledge which is easy to grab and grasp, I like that. I like this class. I like this book. I like this sheikh. But the knowledge that you need, or the people need, but it isn't so easy, it isn't so sweet, or it isn't so popular. It isn't so popular among the people, and you abandon it and you leave it alone, it shows that your niyyah is not right. Everyone understand this? Another manifestation of ikhlas with regards to seeking ilm is that you seek knowledge no matter where you are, and no matter what the condition. You like to read books in front of people. You like to read books when it's just you and yourself going to sleep at night. You understand this? It doesn't matter to you. I'm not reading for you. I'm reading because I want to read. Everyone understand this? And there are many other manifestations as well. طيب. So he says that Allah Azza wa Jal has commanded us, وَمَا أُمِرُوا, the people were only commanded to worship Allah Azza wa Jal, مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. And this is well known. And in this summary, we're also going to make our own summary as well. We'll read the whole thing in Arabic, but the translation will be summarized as well to complete the book and for lack of time. طيب. Also the famous hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, these are based off of intentions. طيب. فضل. Before we move forward, what I read, he says, so therefore when you seek knowledge and there's no sincerity, then knowledge automatically, it said, it transforms or is transformed from the highest to the lowest. The best thing to do now becomes the worst and the ugliest thing to do. I would understand the danger of showing off and the danger of wanting to be heard and wanting to be seen and looking forward to the pleasure of the people and fearing the harm and the annoyance of the people. Moving forward. He says here, وَعَلَيْهِ فَالْتَزِمِ التَّخَلُّصَ مِنْ كُلِّ مَا يُشُبُ نِيَّتَكَ فِي صِدْقِ الطَّلَبِ الظُّهُورِ وَالتَّفَوُّقِ عَلَى الْأَقْرَانِ فإن هذه وأمثالها إذا شابت أفسدتها وذهبت بركة العلم ولهذا يتعين عليك أن تحمي نفسك من شوق الإرادة الحمى. He says here, so he said, anything which gets in the way of your sincerity, you have to remove and discard it. Anything which takes away the true and honest intention, such as loving to be in front of the people, or loving to outdo your contemporaries or your classmates, and anything like this. طيب تفضل. Number 2.
الخصلة الجامعة لخير الدنيا والآخرة محبة الله تعالى ومحبة رسوله وتحقيقها بتمحص المتابعة وقف الأثر بالمعصوم.
Number 2, he says, is the comprehensive point, which we explained last night, yesterday, this morning, is what? Mahabbatullah, is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And loving the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, and following his example, who's free from any mistake or any error. So, knowledge for the love of Allah, or the love of other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very important. And as I just said to you, there's never a time in talab al-ilm in which you're void from spirituality. Ever. Everything that you learn and study in the khilaf of the ulama, in this detailed science, all is based off of spirituality. And these are the 2 guiding principles of the successful student of knowledge. Spirituality and technicality. Technicality and spirituality. You have to have the detailed ilm based off of the spirituality. And you can't just have spirituality without the what? Detailed what? Detailed ilm. That's how the people went astray. We love Allah, but with no ilm. We have knowledge, qala fulan, waja'a fulan, wa khilaf fulan, wa fulan, fulan, and there's no spirituality. It's both extreme. Everyone understand this? A balance between this and between that. طيب. The next point he says, كن سلفيا كن سلفيا على الجادة طريق السلف الصالح من الصحابة رضي الله عنهم فمن بعدهم ممن قفى أثرهم في جميع أبواب الدين من التوحيد. The next point of advice he says is to be Salafi upon the correct path, the path of the Salaf al-Salih from among the Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with them, and those who came after them in all aspects of the religion, Tawheed, worship, and anything else. The student of knowledge, it only makes sense. Why wouldn't you want to be like the earliest Muslims? Why wouldn't you want to be like the Muslims that were pure from this type of bid'ah, and this type of fake or false philosophy, and this type of conquering of the kuffar and being colonized by the kuffar and afraid of the kuffar, and the deen being weakened and stifled? It only makes sense to take the example of the Muslims that were the strongest, that had the most pride in Islam, and had the purest understanding and practice of the deen. But in all aspects of the religion, he says. Jami' abwab ad-din, and not just one aspect and another. So you have to follow the salaf, how they sought ilm. You have to follow the salaf, how they dealt with the ahadith. And it only makes sense to take from the earliest scholars because they were closer, they were purer. Are we understand this? And not just in one aspect. As we just said, akhlaq, character, aqidah, worship, anything that you do of religious practice, it should be based off of the understanding and the practice of the Sahaba and the earliest Muslims, which was the purest strand of al-Islam. Everyone claims Layla. Everyone says that they're friends with Layla or lovers with Layla, but Layla does not acknowledge all of those who claim her. Everyone says this. Everyone says this is the way of the salaf. My dawah channel alone is the way of the salaf. My website is the way of the salaf. We're Salafi and you're not Salafi. Everyone claims this. Kullun yadda'i waslan bi Layla. Everyone says that they're friends with Layla. But how many people does Layla actually say are my actual friends? You understand this? So there's a very long discussion and the different interpretations of what is and what isn't the way of the Salaf as-Salih. Khairan, inshallah, what's important is the student of knowledge to follow them in his search of ilm, in his practice of ilm, in his da'wah and teaching of what? Of ilm. Khairan, inshallah, next point, number 3.
ملازمة خشية الله تعالى التحلي بعمارة الظاهر والباطن بخشية الله تعالى محافظ على شعائر الإسلام وإظهار السنة ونشرها بالعمل بها ودعوة إليها.
Number 3, he says ملازمة خشية الله تعالى is always being upon the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, always fearing Allah. And obviously this is an example of the point that I just said. This is a point which is specific, but it's a bit repetitive. The taqwa of Allah, the mahabba of Allah, the ikhlas of Allah. It's clear. All of those things are found under one general concept. Are we understand this? Muraqabatullah. Are we understand this? Khair, inshallah, next point. Dawamul muraqaba. Just like point number 3. He says, Dawamul muraqaba. Always being mindful and aware that Allah sees and hears and watches. Obviously, there's a connection between khashya and muraqaba. There's a connection between al-mahabba and taqwa. There's a connection between taqwa and ikhlas. They have their own concepts, but oftentimes they have their what? Synonymous concept. Everyone understand this? He who has taqwa is based off of Allah, the love of Allah. And you love Allah, but you don't love Allah, and that's it. You have fear of Allah. And if you have fear of Allah, then it obviously means that you know that Allah is what? Watching you. And Allah watching you is called al-muraqaba. Everyone understand the point? So these are specific things if they're mentioned by themselves. And if they're mentioned together or one word is used, then they become comprehensive. Like Iman and Islam. Muslim and Mu'min. Everyone understand this? Khairan, inshallah. And the importance for the student of knowledge to fear Allah and to be mindful of Allah, that in itself is not a lecture, but that's a workshop. A 3-day workshop, just on that one point. And how the people violate this principle today. In the name of ilm, and in the name of the salaf as-salih. They fear other than Allah, they're afraid of other than Allah, and they're watchful and they're mindful of other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the only reason why I'm here. Allah is the only reason why I'm not here. Allah is the only reason why I love this person. Allah is the only reason why I hate this person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is the only reason why I'm recanting this statement that I made. Because I believe in my heart and I made a mistake. And the shaitan, he tricked me. And I'm recanting this for Allah and Allah only. I am not recanting this mistake that I made to please you, or to appease you, or to take revenge against someone else. That's not why I recant this statement. Everyone understand this? The only reason is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I said before, there are many violations of this principle today. Many violations in which the people, they do things. And the greatest of those things is fear and terror. Terrorizing people with the name of a man or an individual or a personality. Understand? Take back that statement. Don't go to this masjid. Why? Because it's haram in the deen of Allah. Based off of this proof and this evidence. Allah will punish you. You'll stand in front of Allah. And not because of this, that, fulan, alana, fulana, etc. Everyone understand this point? This is the true way of the salaf as-salih. It's to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their hearts. and that is their driving motion. And it's also the thing that makes them sit still and don't move. Everyone understand this? Whether you move or whether you sit still, it has to be based off of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and nothing else. No matter how high a person is. It's one of the earliest things that you learn in surahs. Allah la yarda an yushraka ma'ahu ahadun fi ibadatihi la malakun muqarrabun wa la nabiyyun mursalun. Who is the best from Allah's created beings? One of the two. Malakun muqarrab, an angel that's close to Allah. Or nabiyyun mursal, or prophet that Allah has sent. There's no one more righteous, more pious, or closer to Allah than one of these two people. Malakun muqarrab, nabiyyun mursal. And despite that, Allah is not pleased for either of these two created beings to be in a partner with Him. So no matter how high a person's status is, they are not with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moving forward to the next point. He says, خَفْضُ الْجَنَاحِ وَنَبْذُ الْخُيَلَاءِ وَالْكِبْرِيَاءِ. He says here, خَفْضُ الْجَنَاحِ is being simple and easygoing. Being simple and being easygoing, being humble, humbling yourself and avoiding pride, avoiding conceit, and avoiding puffing yourself up and boasting and gloating about yourself. خَفْضُ الْجَنَاحِ, lower your wing. Literal translation. تحلى بأداب النفس ومن العفاف والحلم والصبر والتواضع للحق والسكون الطائر من الوقار والرزانة وخفض الجناح محملا ذل التعلم لعزة العلم ذليلا للحق وإياكم والخيلاء فإنه نفاق وكبرياء وقد بلغ من شدة التوقي منه عند السلف مبلغا. He says here, adorn yourself, cover yourself, put on jewelry, put on finery with this behavior: patience, forbearance, tolerance, humility, overlooking people's mistakes and shortcomings, and beware of pride, beware of conceit, and humble yourself, he says, lil haq, for the truth. Once again, not for men, but for the truth. If you say the truth, then I humble myself for that. If you say something that I do not believe is the truth, I do not have to humble to you because of you and your personality. But I believe that what you're saying isn't the truth. I could be right, but Allah doesn't qiyamah about what you thought or what I thought. Which of the two? Without based off of what you understand and what you believe, with sincerity. With sincerity. As the man who cremated his body, his sons burnt his body and he poured the ashes in the sea and the land, and Allah forgave him, even though he made those horrible mistakes, because he was sincere. He feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the only reason why he did that horrible act, based off of ignorance. Everyone understand this? Sheikh Bakr rahimahullah ta'ala says in the summarized version, he says, beware of pride, because it is hypocrisy and it's arrogance. And the salaf as-salih, they had a great deal of caution from pride and from arrogance. وَاحْذَرْ دَارَ الْجَبَابِرَ الْكِبْرِ فَإِنَّ الْكِبْرَ وَالْحِرْصَ وَالْحَسَدَ أَوَّلُ ذَنْبٍ عُصِيَ اللَّهُ بِهِ. He says, and beware of being and thinking that you're above the people. Beware of greed, beware of jealousy and envy, because it is the first act of disobedience made. The first time Allah was ever disobeyed was because of envy and jealousy. It was because of pride. And that's why Iblis was sent from paradise. فَمَا يَكُونُ لَكَ أَن تَتَكَبَّرَ فِيهَا فَاخْرُجْ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ. Allah says, leave this place. You are now eternally debased. You cannot live and stay in this place with that foul behavior of pride and of envy and of jealousy of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Number 6, تفضل أخي. Al-qana'atu was-zahada. To suffice himself, and for a person to be content with a little, to be pleased with a little, and to suffice yourself with just a little. If you have much, if Allah blesses you, if Allah enriches you, then that's fine. But you can do without, and just a little bit. This is one of the most important points for the student of knowledge, is it doesn't matter to me where I live. I can live in a palace, or I can live in a hut. Alhamdulillah, I can survive, I can manage. Would I not prefer to live in a palace? Which person can say that, honestly? But I don't have to live in a palace. And if you can be patient upon a little bit, with a little bit, if you can just get by, then you've automatically protected yourself from being bought out. You've protected yourself from being enslaved with money. Because many people, they don't have the sabr upon poverty. They don't have the sabr to do without. There are many people that are anxious and they're afraid of tomorrow. They're enough for today. But what am I going to do for tomorrow? And Allah surely knows how many brothers we saw come to Medina and leave Medina for no other reason except for this. They could not suffice themselves with just a little. So they're offered money, they're offered position, but with compromising on your values. You become my slave if I put you in this expensive place. And I give you this expensive salary. And I pour upon you these worldly gifts. Now you do what I want you to do. We don't want you to talk about this. You can't mention that in your khutbah. You have to befriend this one and you have to curse that one. What can you do now? Your food, your drink, everything about your comfortable lifestyle comes from this person of dunya. You're ruined. Your dawah is ruined. But if you can suffice yourself with just a little, say, shukran, jazakallah khairan. I'll car and I'll suffice myself and keep my freedom and keep my manhood. Keep the ability to speak the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without compromising. Everyone understand these words? And this is one of the reasons why the Salaf as-Salih were very, very cautious and wary to enter upon the rulers, because they feared this, that they will be bought out. Khairan inshallah. Moving on to the next point. التحلي برونق العلم حسن السمت والهدي الصالح من دوام السكينة والوقار والخشوع والتواضع ولزوم نواقضها. He says here, point number 7, also point number 8, تحلى بالمروءة. He says point number 7 is having, and it's very similar than the previous points. He says is being subtle, being tranquil, being serene, focusing and concentrating, not moving about, talking and laughing, not being obnoxious, not being rambunctious, not being someone who's loud and boisterous, but being someone that has serenity with him, sakina, calmness, peace. You walk at a certain pace. How you eat. If you smile, smiling versus laughing, joking, making fun of people. Everyone understand this? Asamt, how you conduct yourself. Number 8, he says, تحلى بالمروءة. التحلي بالمروءة وما يحمل إليها من مكارم الأخلاق وطلاقة الوجه وإفشاء السامي وتحمل الناس والعنفة من غير كبرياء والعزة في غير جبروت والشهامة في غير عصبية والحمية في غير جاهلية. Point number 8 is very similar to point number 9. He continues his discussion of character and of manners. He says here, it's for a person to have chivalry, to be chivalrous. Shihama, for a person not to be arrogant, but at the same time not to be low and base. For a person to have power and strength and might, but not asabiya, in which you're impulsive. You have an anger problem. But when it's time to stand up for the truth, when it's time to speak the truth, when it's time to practice manhood, that's what you do. A balance, not too much of this and not too much of that. If someone offers you a gift, offers you charity, do I accept it or accept it not? Doing without, not being greedy, isn't the same as a person having too much pride. I would understand this, there's a difference. And the word pride is a detailed word. You have to have pride, self-respect for who you are. I would understand this. Most importantly, knowledge is a mighty and weighty thing. And you're not to put knowledge in its improper place. You're not to put specific fawaid to someone who doesn't deserve those benefits because of the weight of ilm. But at the same time, you have to humble yourself. And this is one of the most intriguing parts of the book and of seeking knowledge as a whole. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that the definition of tawadu, of humility, an la tara li nafsika qima, is for you to see yourself to be worthless. This is what he said in Madarij al-Salikin. The definition of humility is to see that you have no worth. You're worthless. Tayyib. Can we absolutely accept this definition? You've learned the book of Allah. You've learned the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. You go back to your country, and there are going to be those who don't have the respect for knowledge. There are going to be those who don't have the respect for you. There are going to be those who may practice prejudice against you or any type of ism, colorism, racism, sexism, feminism, chauvinism, etc. Are you to lower yourself and humiliate yourself, and you have this mighty, weighty ilm with you, and you have no value? Are we to understand this? There is a balance. There's a balance with regards to this. He says here, smiling, spreading the salams, overlooking the mistakes and the faults of the people. Not being overcritical on the people. This is a lecture in itself. How many brothers you see and they frown? They don't smile in your face. How many brothers you see they don't give you the salams? If they see a non-Muslim, they'll speak to the non-Muslim before they speak to you. Under this, a mushrik, one who does not believe in Allah on the last day, they say, how you doing? They smile and open up the door for them. They see you and they frown and they say, I'm frowning for the sake of Allah. I hate you for the sake of Allah. Moving forward, point number 9. التمتع بخصال الرجولة من الشجاعة وشدة البأس في الحق ومكارم الأخلاق والبذل في سبيل المعروف حتى تنقطع دونك أعمال الرجال. He says the main point is manhood. He says enjoy manhood, be manly. Women and the sisters who are seeking knowledge, womanhood, and being womanly. This is a very important point. And once more, this isn't specific to the student of knowledge. We know that Abdullah ibn Abbas has narrated in Sahih Bukhari and other places that the Messenger of Allah, he cursed al-mutashabbihina min al-rijali bin nisa, imitate women, and he cursed women who imitate men. Femininely men, girly men, men who wish to be like women, they were cursed. And the opposite as well. We've explained this hadith in detail in a khutbah a few months back in Philadelphia, what this hadith means and how important this hadith is in 2018, in which we live in a time and a place in which a scholar or a doctor, they may say that there's nothing wrong with homosexuality in Islam. There's no proof in the Quran and the Sunnah to say that it's impermissible to be attracted and to like the same sex. Nothing is haram. The people of Lut, they were only destroyed. Fire and brimstone was sent upon between each other, it would be fine. There's nothing wrong with lesbianism. Fine. As long as you're not in an Islamic state and 4 witnesses don't see you committing sodomy, it's okay. This is a time in which people say things like this. And the Prophet ﷺ, he cursed men who wish to imitate women, and he cursed women who wish to imitate men, let alone touching a man, touching a woman, etc. Just the sheer fact of a tashabbuh, of trying to be like something that Allah did not make you. I believe Allah surely knows best.
Allah